you guys? Welcome back to Lily Reads. In today's video, we are here for a April wrap up. I think I read 12 books in April. I am in like a slump. It's not a heavy slump, but I do not have this amazing urge to like read books a lot these days. So like I would have liked to read more books, but the fact that I got 12 books read in March was a big feat. I enjoyed most of the books I read in March. I got to a lot of books I had been putting off, so that always makes me feel good, but we can just jump right on into it. Let's discuss the plot. This is a book that I did not read for a video, so you are learning about it the first time from me. In the plot, we are following a writer. He is a writer who has kind of like hit a crossroads. He put out a book one time and it did pretty well, but he's put out like 2 or 3 books after that that did not make any noise, and so now he is teaching students, and he does a writing seminar, and this writer comes into his class and says, I have the perfect book. It has the perfect plot. It cannot fail. It doesn't matter who writes it. It's going to be a bestseller. And he's skeptical because he's skeptical of everyone. We get inside this guy's head and he's very cynical. He thinks other people are hacks. He thinks they're lowlife. No one is as good as him. So he obviously thinks this student is full of shit. Well, one day the student tells him what the book is. He tells him what the book is going to be about. And so he's just like, oh, your idea is absolutely brilliant. So he's like, yeah, you probably are going to write a New York Times bestseller. Well, one day, this guy comes back into his life, but not in the way that you think he does. He's not alive anymore. He's dead. But he kind of hasn't thought about this guy since the writing seminar. And so he decides to steal this guy's idea. He's going to steal this guy's idea, and he's going to publish the book that this guy wanted to publish, and that starts this story. Now, we have read this story before. This book, I think, happened first. So you have the plot, you have yellow face, and you have disorientation. All 3 of these books are about people stealing shit. People stealing other people's stuff, or people pretending to be someone else in the writing world. It's about fraudulence in writing. I am going to go out on a limb and say, I think I enjoy the plot the most. That might be an unpopular opinion. I am going to go ahead and give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I gave Yellow Face 3.5 out of 5 stars too, but I think this one is more original. You want to know the actual issue with this book for me is that the plot twist is right in front of your fucking face the entire time. Like, I don't think anyone, I don't care if you've never read a mystery thriller at all, you know what the plot twist is going to be in this book. They don't do a good job at hiding it, but I found this to be interesting because I think, unlike Yellow Face and Disorientation, it wasn't trying to do a lot. Like, it just went down the typical murder mystery route. And so this just, it did what I needed it to do, and it was fine. 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would because I've read so many books about people stealing other people's work like Yellow Face and Disorientation that I thought were fine, but I liked it well enough. So the next book we are going to discuss is Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. So in this book, we start off with just one page, and it is basically telling us that Lucrezia has died. Lucrezia is dead. She died under some very strange circumstances, but her husband says she caught a fever and died. And then we get into our story where we meet Lucrezia. Lucrezia is on a journey with her husband, and she is sure that her husband is going to kill her. We have no clue what's going on. Like, what do you mean your husband's going to kill you? And obviously you are going to die. So like, is he going to kill you? And so we go back in time and we meet Lucrezia. We meet Lucrezia. She is a daughter of this Duke and Dutch. They have all types of money, and she is kind of the wild child of her family. She, you know, is the outlier, and her family doesn't really like her very much. And we get to know her, and we get to know her as she becomes involved with this 24-year-old man. Keep in mind, she is 14 years old. She is 14 years old. She gets married off to this 24-year-old man who she thinks is going to kill her, and that's where our story is. Brilliant, amazing, one of my favorite books I might say ever. I loved everything. This book isn't going to be for everyone. I could see why it probably does have naysayers. I don't know, but this book worked for me through and through. 5 out of 5 stars. Nothing negative to say. No notes. Enjoyed it all the way through. You guys, let's discuss my tan line. Do you guys see this? I went to the beach, baby. I went to the beach, baby. The next book we have is The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest. This was the Lily Reads Book Club book for April. I run the Lily Reads Book Club. These are all of our past books right here. And in this book, we have The Partner Plot. So in this, we are following this woman by the name of Violet. Violet is a fashion designer, and basically she wants to take over the world with her fashions, designing people's fashion. We also have this other guy by the name of Xavier. He is the coach of a basketball team at a school that he teaches at because he is an English teacher. Well, Violet and Xavier used to date back in high school. They used to date back in high school. They had this idea to take over the world. He was going to be a basketball player. She was going to be a fashion designer. It was a whole thing, but they broke up, and we meet them in present time where they are meeting back up in Vegas for different reasons. She's in Vegas for work. He's in Vegas on vacation, but they meet back up, and through different circumstances, they end up married. And they decide to keep going with the marriage because it will help both of them. So we get a marriage of convenience thing, and that's how these two people end up having to live together and pretend to be married. I did not like this book. I rushed through the synopsis just to tell you I did not like this book. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. Let's start by the petty thing, the petty gripe. This book is not a Vegas book. Like, this book is not about 2 people who end up married in Vegas. That's literally not what happens. That is literally not what happens in this book. Vegas is only 20 pages of this book, and they also do not actually get married. So that's not what happens. So I've been duped and bamboozled. And also, this book is just really boring. This book is just really boring to me. I found everything paint by numbers. I found the characters to be stale, plain. I'm not gonna say I'm in my hater era because that's not what I'm doing. I'm in my critical era. If I don't like something, I'm gonna say it. As if anyone needs to tell me that. But like, if I think something isn't well done, I don't care how much I like the author. I don't care how much I've liked their books in the past. Like, I just did not think The Partner Plot was a well done book. I don't think it was an interesting book. Like, it was written perfectly fine. The plot makes some type of sense. Like, it's a coherent book, but like, I just don't think anyone could read The Partner Plot and be like, this is my favorite book of all time. I don't think it was going for that. I just think it was phoned in. Let's move on to Jacqueline and Paris, the most like, whoa, can you read this? By Anne Ma. So in this book, this is a historical fiction book about Jacqueline Kennedy. And this is about Jacqueline Kennedy, her spending her summer in Paris studying abroad. So this is like a reimagined historical fiction about the time Jackie Kennedy spent in Paris. Jackie Kennedy did spend time in Paris in real life, and this author just kind of put a fictional spin onto it. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. There's really nothing more to explain about the plot. It's about Jacqueline Kennedy in Paris and her getting wrapped up in communists and Nazis and all types of stuff happens in Paris. This book was surprisingly good. It was surprisingly good. It was just people talking to each other. It was just people lunching and people talking, but like, they were having really interesting conversations. I usually don't really like the reimagined historical fiction, people putting fiction onto real people's life. I usually don't like it, but for some reason, this worked. This was a surprise win for me. 4 out of 5 stars. I got that in Book of the Month. The next book that we have is Once Upon an Eid. I decided, because Eid had just come when I read this book, to read Once Upon an Eid. It's edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed. It is 15 short stories about Muslim experiences. I enjoyed the hell out of this. This is a middle grade book, I think, and you want to know what I enjoyed about this? I loved how there was different experiences about growing up being Muslim. A lot of times I think we get a lot of books about people dealing with like not enjoying being a Muslim. Being a Muslim kind of had them exiled in life, or, you know, they weren't happy. Their parents were strict. I love this book because, yes, it had some stories like that, but it also had stories of people loving being a Muslim child, growing up being a Muslim and all the traditions. And that's what I loved. There's something in here for everyone, and I just thought this was really well done. I thought the stories were cute. I loved it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed my time with that. The next book that we have is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. So in this book, this is a murder mystery book. We have a bunch of people on a boat. And basically this guy comes and says, this boat is going to sink. This boat is going to sink and everybody is going to die. And that kind of starts this like mystery of like what's going on this boat. There's this idea that there's this supernatural force on this boat that's making people do strange things. It's speaking to, it's like, it's talking to everyone. So then some people start to die, some strange things happen on the boat, and we have this guy, basically, he is a sleuth. He is a sleuth back on the mainland. He solves murders. So he and like, I think the king, is he a king? Whatever. There's like some guy who's head over everything. He's a king, he's a Dutch, he's a duke, I don't know. His wife, basically. His wife decides she's gonna get to the root of what's going on in the boat, as well as the sleuth, the detective. So they come together to try to figure out what's going on this boat. I did not really, explain that well, but that's pretty much what happens. This book is adored by people. A lot of people who love detective stories, murder mystery stories, mystery, they love this book. And I want to ask why. I want to ask why. I love a detective story. I go out on a limb all the time and say, I think detective stories get the shitty end of the stick. I think people do not understand the fun a detective story can be. People hate detective stories. I love detective stories. I love a thriller mystery from the point of view of a detective. I think it's so fun. But this, I get, when people read these, I get why they don't like them. This book has too many characters. So you start off, you're meeting all of these characters. You meet so many people, you quickly start to, like, not care, because just like, all y'all ain't gonna be that damn important. All of y'all cannot be that damn important. So you quickly stop caring about any of them. And then this book has, like I was telling you before, this supernatural element that kind of lost me. I don't like supernatural things in books, so that kind of lost me as well. I will say the ending was good, but like that's just because they were revealing everything. They were revealing everything, so of course it was good. A mystery, some aspects of the mystery, I guess. Now, I will say, this had one of my favorite things I love in detective books where, like, there's different layers to the mystery. There's different layers to the conspiracy. I do enjoy that, and that's what I enjoyed. And I will say, to give this book some more credit, I never was uninterested. But I don't know if that's because of this book or because I really love detective murder mysteries. I like detective mystery novels. I love conspiracy. I love mess. And this book has mess, conspiracy, all this stuff. So I always knew I was going to read the whole thing to see what was going to happen. But I wasn't gagged. I wasn't gagged the way everyone said I should have been. So I gave that book 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know. Another book that did not gag me, The Night Circus. So in this book, we are following 2 prodigies, 2 students. Basically, there are these 2 men. They have decided they are going to be in competition together. They are going to be in competition, and they are going to train up 2 people to battle one another for their competition. So they want to be winners, but they're going to train these 2 people to basically, battle out against each other. So we meet the 2 people that they're training, and basically they both have magical abilities. One of them works at the Night Circus. One of them works doing other stuff. The Night Circus. What is the Night Circus? The Night Circus is this mysterious circus that only comes around every now and then. No one knows what's going on. And basically, we are following the 2 people who are going to be dueling each other. And we're also following this 3rd person, this mysterious person, who is very interested in the Night Circus. He wants to know what's going on in the Night Circus. And that's basically this story about how these 2 people have to battle one another. They fall in love with each other. That's not a spoiler. I think that's part of the synopsis of the book. And they have to fight each other. No, I think altogether that sounds interesting enough, right? But I just don't think any of those things really come together. I don't think any of those things are actually discussed, interrogated, talked about. I think all of those plot lines get dropped. I'm gonna be so honest with you. I feel like every single plot line kind of gets dropped and simplified, and then the book ends. Like, for this book to be so long, some stuff could happen, but I don't feel like anything happened. I was bored the entire time, and the thing that kept me reading was like, something interesting has to happen, so I thought, but I don't think anything interesting actually did happen. So that one didn't work for me. Anyways, radio silence. In this book, we are following a girl in high school, and she gets a email from a person who she really admires because she likes this show called Radio Silence. She watches it on YouTube. It's kind of like a podcast, and they want her to do fan art for it because she likes to do fan art for it. She posted on Tumblr, and they email her and are like, hey, we want you to do the fan art. And this kind of starts her on this journey of being a part of Radio Silence. At the exact same time, things are happening in her personal life. She wants to go off to Oxford or Cambridge, one of the two. She wants to go off to college. All of her friends are going different ways. And she also has this mysterious friend who like is kind of away. She keeps referencing this girl that we know nothing about. She's not in the story. And so there's stuff going on. So she has personal life stuff, and she also has this really big opportunity to be a part of a show she really likes. And these two things come together and kind of come to a head in Radio Silence. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this book was weirdly emotional. I think this book captures the melancholy of your teen years, of your late teen years really, really well. This book just had an air of mysteriousness, this air of hopelessness. That's what it had. It had this hopelessness loomed over the entire book that felt really real. It's so weird how a book can capture how it feels to be a teen, where like bad shit ain't really happening, but it feels like the end of the world. That's what this book kind of captures. I really enjoyed the writing of this. I enjoyed the story of this. 5 out of 5 stars. A surprising win there. The next book we have is The Great Circle. In this book, we are following a pilot. She is a pilot who eventually will end up going missing. And so we're getting her story up until she went missing. We're trying to figure out, well, not even figure out, we're just hearing about her life. In another timeline, we are meeting this woman who is an actress who is going to play this pilot in a movie because they're making a biopic about her. And basically, this is just about their two lives. The life of this actress who was kind of like a failed actress now. You know, she had some personal shit happen. Nobody wants to book her and stuff anymore. Both of her parents are dead, and she's trying to figure out what to do with her life. And then we have this orphan pilot who ends up doing all these great things, and like what would come of her life, eventually leading to her going missing, you know, in a plane crash. She goes missing in a plane crash. And that's pretty much what this story is. This book is really long. Like, really, really long. And I do not think it's worth it. The ending of this book just loses it. Like, it just loses it. I do not like books that feel realistic, right? They're grounded in realism. Like, everything that's happened in the book seems realistic. Seems like it makes sense, you know? And then the ending kind of gets supernaturally, not even fantastical is the word. I might can see you on Supernatural. I love a sprinkle of unexplained magical realism. I understand that. When it gets fantastical, when it gets fake, when it gets like this wouldn't happen. That's what happens in this book. And so I gotta give it 3 stars because I'm just like, you lost the plot completely on this one. But it doesn't change that up until about page 467, I was enjoying myself well enough. Also, there is the POV with the actress is a dud. It's terrible. Like, I don't even know how that got past an editor. Like, it was not good at all. So, The Great Circle, I was expecting more. I was expecting The Great Circle to be my marriage portrait. I was expecting to be kind of an on Marriage Portrait and love The Great Circle, but it didn't go that way. It didn't go that way. The next book, we have 3 more left. 3 more left and y'all can go. The Midnight Library. In this book, we have a girl who hates her life. And she decides she is going to kill herself. And basically, before she dies, she ends up in this library. And this library is in between life and death, where basically she can take a book off the shelf and live that life. Now, immediately when she comes to feel disappointment or regret in that life, she gets sucked back into the library. Like, you don't have to be there anymore. So that's pretty much this book is about, her being able to live different lives instead of the one that she lives to find the perfect life for her. This book is good. Like, it's good. It works, right? This book isn't for me. This book is not going to change my life. And that is maybe because of who I am as a person and a reader. Books that try to teach you obvious message, love your life. Get over the fact that your parents died. There's so much more to life. Get over this. You're great. The world is great. We should all have fun. We should all love each other. Books like that do nothing for me. Books that teach me something I already know. Books that try to hit on obvious universal truths do nothing for me. Like your mom's book, your book club books, you know? And that's what this book is. Like, everyone's supposed to like this book because you're supposed to see yourself in it. You're supposed to learn to love the life that you have. And I'm just like, I don't need a book to tell me that, you know? And so that's what this book was. To me, it was nothing more than that. So yes, I'm going to give it 4 stars because I think it set out to accomplish everything that it wanted to accomplish. And I think it was written well. And I think in the time that it came out, a lot of people needed a story like this. But like, it's never going to be my favorite book in the world. So that's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. The next book we have is Vicious. In this book, we are following 2 scholars. We are following 2 university students, and they are doing science experiments. And one of them comes up with this theory that you can kind of like become like a supernatural type of person. And the other one is just like, why not turn this theory into reality? So they start doing science experiments on themselves to become like supernatural human beings, have superpowers basically. And one of them succeeds and he becomes a supernatural person. But he doesn't really want to do shit with his powers. He didn't want to do this anyway. And so the other guy's just like, I want to be one, but the other guy's not going to help him. He's just like, we don't need to do this. Like, I'm over it. So he enlists the guy's girlfriend to help him out. But he ends up killing the girlfriend. But he does get his superpowers. So these 2 guys have superpowers. The guy is pissed because he got his girlfriend killed. And the other guy got sent to jail for killing the guy's girlfriend. So they got beef. They got big beef. And they are after one another. So this book, at the root of it, is a battle of good and evil. But who's good and who's evil? It's one of those books. I did not enjoy this book. I've heard people talk about feeling kind of distant when they read V.E. Schwab books, and I get what they're saying now. This is my first V.E. Schwab book. This is the perfect setup, right? 2 academic rivals, you know, battling it out. But like, this book is not as interesting as it tries to sell it to you. These 2 characters, you never feel like you want anything good or bad happen to them. You never feel like there's action. This book isn't fun. This book should be fun. There should be stakes. It should be dramatic, and it's not. And so it just feels like a snooze fest all the way through. It was just hard for me to really get invested. It was hard for me to really care. And so I end up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. It's really a 2.75. Not the one for me, friends. The last book. The last book is Kim Jeong, born 1982 by Cho Nam Ju. What is this book about? This book is about a woman who clearly she is having some mental episode because she starts pretending like she's other people. She keeps saying that she's other people in her life. She starts taking on the mannerisms of their young daughter. She starts sucking her thumb, sleeping with her daughter. So her husband's like, something is up with my wife. And so we go back in time to figure out, how did Kim end up like this? Like, what happened in Kim's life? So we meet Kim. She is the second oldest to 3 siblings. She's the second oldest in a group of 3 siblings. She has a younger brother, and she quickly realizes that her life is not valued in the same way as her younger brother. Because she is a woman in Korea, and that kind of dictates everything that happens in her life. She's basically trying to navigate this patriarchal, misogynist world, and we get to know all of the things that have happened to Kim. I thought this book was really good. Now, is it National Book Award long list good? I don't know. I was not blown away by this book. This is another one of those books like Midnight Library, where it's like, it's teaching you an obvious message. Patriarchy is bad, but most books teach you the same message. Like, there's but so many messages to teach, I guess, right? But I think this book does well, and what is quite clever, when we're getting specific stories about Kim's life, and we're getting into the way patriarchy works and misogyny works, that's when I do find this book to be actually really clever and well done. So what I'm going to say about this book is that I think this book is really well crafted. And so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. But is it like mind-blowing? No, not to me. Anyways, should I hold up the books? I haven't held up all of the books in such a long time because I usually read more books than this. I feel like I usually read more books than this, and maybe I don't, but I'm going to hold them up. I'm going to hold them up for thumbnail sake. Let me get them. The book you should read if you don't read none of these is The Marriage Portrait. Unless you're going to drag it and hate it, then don't read it, because then you're going to make me mad. But, don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. Here are the books. So, you guys, I will see you in the May wrap-up. And, yeah, I hope you guys' reading year is as good as mine. I have a pretty solid reading year. Like, no 1 stars. I have no 1 stars because none of these books disgust me. The Night Circus is my least favorite book out of all these books. It ain't the worst book in the world, you know? So, anyways, I'll talk